Welcome. Okay, welcome. Qualified Tutor loves to invite our hosts, our partners and participants and members to learn and grow together. This professional practice, this professional development that we love to participate in, creates shared understanding, shared beliefs, and shared actions together. And Sam Moyne is all about action. His t-shirt says, do what you said you would, and do what you would is exactly what we're all about. The integrity, the focus, and the self-belief that comes from that. Sam will be talking with us today about his coaching for teachers and former teachers. And we feel in the qualified tutor community that firstly, there's a really strong alignment between where you're coming from, Sam, and where we're coming from in terms of helping people to do their best work for the little people, but also for ourselves and for that professional integrity and that sense of joy that we get from doing great work. But Hannah, oh, Hannah, you need to be on mute, my darling. Thank you. I'm going to hand straight over to you, Sam, because I know we're in awesome hands here. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, Julia. Really appreciate that. I might just pin myself here so we can. Cool. Well, welcome along, Kaylee, Hannah, Julia, and everyone else. Welcome along if you're watching on LinkedIn on a replay. It's a real privilege to be here. My second time being involved, giving a talk to qualified tutors. So thank you, Julia. Thank you, Hannah, for setting this up. Thank you, QT. I deeply appreciate you. My name is Sam Moyne. I'm the founder of Student Breakthrough and the Educators Coaching Academy. And we are revolutionizing mental health support in schools using coaching for both teachers and students. And in today's session, we're thinking all about empathy, listening, and communication. I actually tweaked this webinar because I wanted to offer some different content to QT because we did an event about a month ago. So I wanted to mix it up a little bit. So we'll see how we get on. I want to make this event really interactive, but what is in it for you? You can learn some simple tools and strategies that you can implement straight away to develop better empathy and listening and communication with those important people in your life. Kaylee, give me a thumbs up if you think that's exciting. Sweet, you're in the right place, Kaylee. And Julie's got a thumbs up as well. So team, if you're in the UK, we had just started our day. It's still the morning here, but I want to ground ourselves. And I know Kaylee's at the swimming pool. So Kaylee, you can do this as well if you find a little comfortable seat. Julie, you can do this. We're going to just go through a little grounding exercise, focusing on our breath. And then I've got a really cool visualization that I want to run with you all as well. Okay, called mental subtraction. Now, we all know the importance of gratitude and practicing gratitude. And it's also been scientifically proven to boost our happiness and improve our relationships, etc. This is something different. And just for the exercise, all you need to think about now is someone who you deeply love and care about. Okay, just think about that person. Just have that in the back of your head and we'll get into the exercise. So Kaylee, if you are in a comfortable seat, Julie, if you're in a comfortable seat, I invite you just to have your feet flat on the floor. Kaylee, if you want to turn your camera off, Julie, if you want to turn your camera off, you can for this. And yeah, just invitation here, team, to get your feet flat on the floor and making sure your back is nice and upright in the chair. And I invite you just to put your knees on your lap or resting on your knees. And then just checking in with your breathing and noticing where you feel the breath most strongly in your body. This typically could be around the nostrils or your chest or your abdomen. And really feeling that breath. And you might start to notice if the breath is shallow or if it's deep. And just checking in with how you're feeling right now. We're just going to shift our awareness onto a couple of our senses. And the first one is what we can hear. So Kaylee's in the swimming pool. She might hear kids splashing around. Interesting place to do a meditation, Kaylee. I can hear the whirring of a fridge. You might even hear your own breath. And just an acknowledgement, just like our thoughts that come and go. We can't control the sounds that we hear. They just come into our awareness. And then shifting to things that you can touch or feel. You might feel the chair supporting you, the clothes against your skin. And just checking with the temperature against your skin right now. I'm going to shift our focus to mental subtraction. And in this exercise, I want you to think about someone you deeply care about, or have got a really strong relationship with. It could be a partner, a best friend, or maybe your children or child. And in this exercise, I want you to imagine subtracting them from your life. So just pausing here, what would happen if that relationship was instantly taken from you? And just picture right now in the present, what impact that would have on you right now. And then think about how losing that person could impact your future. And then spreading that awareness out. If you lost this person or they were no longer in your life, how would it affect other people? Now, the invitation here, we're going to shift our focus to appreciating the gain that this person brings to our life. And just imagining what life was like without them. What are you deeply grateful for with this person? What's something positive they bring to your life? And how can you appreciate this person even more in your day to day? How have your thoughts or feelings changed from doing this exercise? And how do you feel about your life in general right now? And just let that gratitude wash over you. Let it touch every cell of your body. And when you're ready, take a big deep breath in for me through your nose. And sigh it out through your mouth. And when you're ready, just wiggle your fingers and toes and open your eyes. Okay, nice. So we've got Julia and Katie on the session. How did you find that mental subtraction?
It made me tear up actually. I was like, just had little tears because it's not a nice thing to think about, is it? But I think what I got from it was really quite powerful because I've been struggling with my son. Everyone knows how much I love my son. He's always in our chats and stuff. But he has hit this stage where he is just impossible. So many tantrums in the day, just being, a toddler. And this morning I was just so stressed out with him, and I couldn't I couldn't wait to get away from him for swimming, basically. Hello. And sorry, someone I know. And then that just kind of made me think, actually, you know what? If he wasn't here, I don't think I could live. I don't think I could be without him. And I think it made me realize that he needs more of my time as well. And I think that's so hard when you've got your own business, because where is the time? You have to spread yourself out so much. But it made me really grateful for having him, and all the joy that he brings, because he does bring so much joy. Brings a lot of That's a swear word, but a lot of joy as well. So I just thank you for that. That was just really quite grounding for me, to actually reflect on, because you do get wrapped up in your everyday life. But sometimes you just need reminding about what's actually important.
Great share, Kaylee. Thank you so much. I'm really glad it landed. And you can practice that just not with your son, but with day-to-day things as well. Even when we're having a quote unquote negative or bad day, even just subtracting the thing that, like having a car to drive around in, like if we imagine subtracting that, for instance, I'll be pretty stuck. And it can boost our gratitude quite quickly. So we focus on the negative. It can be quite upsetting, but it's interesting to go there and then flip into, well, what am I grateful for? And I'm sure you did that really well with your son. Julie, any shares?
Yeah, I think really powerful. And like Kaylee, I was really emotional doing it. I chose a really difficult relationship in my life that is very important to me. And I had a really strong reaction at the idea of subtracting that relationship. And I found it really helpful to notice what that relationship brings and what the impact on other people would be of subtracting that person. It was, I agree with Katie that it was grounding, that experience. It possibly was a little bit groundbreaking as well in my thinking. So thank you.
All right, thank you for your shares. Thank you for your shares, Julie. I really appreciate your honesty. It's something, again, we've got to keep doing the reps on this, right? We can't just go to the gym once, get on the treadmill, and expect to get fit and strong. Same for this. Like, you want to improve this practice. I'm not saying you have to tear up all the time and thinking about gratitude, but just keep checking in with it. Get that drumbeat, that momentum, boom, boom, boom. And then obviously the action leads to behavior, which leads to habits. Okay, team, we're going to get stuck in today. So just some guidelines to get the most from our session. I'll go through these super quick.
Sam, you're like the PE teacher of coaches.
Huh?
You're like the PE teacher of coaches.
What does that mean?
Come on, let's do it.
Let's go. Let's go. I'm always
doing coaches. I love it.
Yeah, in my fitness class, in Portuguese, bora bora means let's go, let's go. So always like bora bora, like let's go, vai, vais go. So vai, go, go.
Baby Rita, bora.
Bora, yeah, you can use that one. But yeah, just to get the most of my time, just participate fully, be fully present. I always share this one, listen for insights, not just information. Kaylee and Julia have just done that really well. There was some information there about gratitude, but they had the insight. And that's the important thing for this, all right? What is the insight? How does that land for you? Julie and Kaylee doing a great job of this. If you're on LinkedIn, please do share your insights and takeaways, and obviously relax and have some fun as well.
And you just happen to randomly listening on LinkedIn instead of joining us in Zoom, please do follow the link that's in the WhatsApp community or in your email, because we'd love to have you in the room.
Yeah, we'd love to have you in the room, but this is a recording. It's Friday. You know, you can always connect with me in different ways. This is still going to be a great event, and I appreciate Kaylee and Julie for being here. So Julie's heard the story. Kaylee, you don't know who I am, do you? Really? Apart from some guy that just made you cry a little bit. But we're going to just, Kaylee, while I've got you, just I know you got to shoot. Is it 20 past you got to leave us, Kaylee? Okay, well, I'm going to whistle stop tour my story, okay? Just for you. I'll go a little bit fast time on this. So I'm going to take you back. At the moment, I'm running two businesses, Student Breakthrough and the Educators Coaching Academy. Helped thousands of students. I've trained hundreds of teachers in coaching and tutors. Training lots of tutors at the moment, which is really, really cool. But obviously, it wasn't always like that. So I'm just going to take you back to where it all began. And Kaylee, this is me at 10 years old. Oh, see, I didn't have to prompt her for an R. She did the R already. Thank you so much, Kaylee.
That's adorable.
Yeah, I need to get those Harry Potter glasses back, I think. But yeah, this is me at 10. Kaylee, think about you at 10. You might think back to what the challenges were. And for me, it was, anxiety, not feeling good enough, and always comparing myself to others. But like a 10-year-old, you might have looked up to someone, Kaylee, when you were 10. I looked up to my dad. And my dad was this ultra macho guy. He was a Royal Marine Commando. He fought in the Falklands. Submariner, covered in tattoos and a beard. I'm the oldest of three boys, and I was very, very anxious and very, very shy. So I made the decision. I took on the belief And Kaylee, this is why it's so important for, the stuff your interactions with your son, because we take on these beliefs. Our beliefs about the world are formed usually between the ages of 0 and 8 years old. You might have heard about that. And if you write down the word belief, I love this distinction. There's the word lie inside the word belief. So we take on these lies, these beliefs. My lie and belief was, I have to make my dad proud of me. And the only way I can do that is become a soldier. And if you had a dream when you were a kid, imagine achieving the dream. I achieved the dream in 2012. And I got a letter through the post from the Royal Anglian Regiment that said I was welcoming into the British Army and I was going to start my officer training. And it was a transformative moment. I ran over to my dad at 21 and just hugged him. And I felt like those hugs were like the person was really proud of me and he loved me. I felt like my life was complete. Now, Kaylee and Julia, I want you to imagine, what was the worst day of your life? You haven't got to share that. Hopefully it's not this webinar. Just picture what was the worst day. 2 weeks after this, I got a letter through the post, another letter, and I wasn't expecting this one. And this was the letter that flipped my whole world 180 and transformed everything I was going to do. And I cut through the red wax of the letter, and the first line said this, and these two words in particular stood out. Sam, you can no longer join the army due to your diagnosis of Crohn's disease. And those two words and that diagnosis created so much anxiety and fear and doubt in me. And I collapsed onto the floor at 21. And my dad actually comes over to me and says, what's going on? I hand him the letter like this. And he gets really emotional as well. Just for me, right? He got emotional for me. And it was a starting point of 3 years of pain, both internally with my health, but also in my head and my heart. So it was like the triple run. It was like being punched in the gut with Crohn's. You're emotional and your heart is hurting. And also in my head, I was racing with anxiety. And Kaylee, just before you go, my dad was a soldier. What do you think my mum was?
Was she a teacher?
She was a teacher.
Hey.
So I became a teacher and I took all of this pain into my teaching role. And it got to the point where I just didn't feel good enough. That led into more anxiety. That led into chronic insomnia. And I was really struggling, but I got sold the whole cocktail, the bad cocktail. And I was drinking the cocktail of toxic masculinity, that boys don't get sad and men don't show emotion and emotions are for girls. And we need to bottle this stuff up. So I do what a lot of guys do. I bottled it up. But our bodies are the best lie detectors. Are they not? Now, when you're 2 years old, like your son, you just react, right? Your body is the lie detector. If he's feeling hungry, he's going to throw a tantrum. As adults, we're quite good at bottling it up. But eventually I got to a point where I was so low, I made it into school and a student asked me if I was okay. Her name was Susie. And I lied to Susie and I said, Susie, I'm fine. And this acronym always sticks with me: feelings inside, not expressed. And I just about made it into school. As I lied to her, I felt these tears rolling down my face, and I grabbed my ball pen, spun around from the class and pretended to write on the whiteboard just because I didn't want to have a breakdown in front of these kids. Now, that was the low, and I wanted to reach out to someone, but I didn't know who to reach out to. And my friend said, why don't you try this guy? He's a coach. And I was like, yeah, sure. You got no options. I thought coaching was for rugby, football, or cricket. But this coach was how I felt, for how I felt. And I remember the day, it's ingrained in my brain, the 23rd of April, 2015, I had a coaching session. And all the guy did was do these three things. He listened to me, right? It was a heart with ears, which is where this event name comes from. He asked me great, powerful questions to help me reflect, and he gave me some silence. And as the tears poured down my face, it was like the storm cloud above me got smaller and I felt lighter. And I went back into school the next day with my skinny chinos from 2013, 2014, with a slick back hair. Went back in school, became a much better teacher because I dealt with my own pain. I dealt with my own problems. But then having this awareness, I started to see so many students that were struggling. And I thought, I can just teach history or I can help the mental health of kids. And that's what I decided to do. And I learned to coach. and I became a qualified coach in 2017 and created a little business called Student Breakthrough. And I was coaching students in coffee shops in Milton Keynes, where I'm from originally. I was working with small kids as well, from like the age of 6 to 8. I was working with sixth form students and training them in coaching. This is a sixth form college in North London. And I was delivering talks. Here's me in the Isle of Wight. And I started to see that coaching was really transforming things. I'd left teaching at this point. It was really transforming the lives of students. It was very action orientated, proactive. It was positive, and they were getting great results. And it was amazing. And then all of a sudden, teachers started to ask me if I could train them in what I do. So I said yes. Richard Branson's advice: say yes and make it up later.
So sorry, I've got to shoot off, but that was really amazing. So sorry to interrupt. I'll speak to you soon. But thank you for that. It's amazing. Thank you.
No worries. All the best. Just on LinkedIn now. Let's go. And Julia, obviously. So yeah, started to work with students in small groups and coach them. Got some great results. Teachers then asking me if I could train them, and I said yes. I started training people in coaching back in 2019, and this all went through until 2021. Then a school in St Albans in North London said, can you train our staff? And I said yes. And I took these staff through a training program of coaching, and all I cared about was helping the kids. And the kids were getting loads more support in the school. But I started to see something really magical happen, and it is magical, is that the staff were transforming alongside the students. I get quite emotional talking about this because our school system's in a really, really tough space. Education is in a tough place. But to be able to support teachers and students with coaching and bring this into the world is so powerful, and it makes such a difference. And it's got to the point where I've been featured in the big newspapers like Northampton Chronicle, bit bigger, the BBC. This is me speaking about teacher burnout. This is training teachers in Stevenage, and I've grown a team. This is our team here out in Portugal, training students, year 11s and year 13s in coaching. I'm going to that school later today at 2 p.m. to train their staff. And we're making these little ripple effects. But it all started from a letter in 2012 and a Crohn's diagnosis. So the lesson here, team, is failure is a blessing. And failure is just that part that, like a sailboat in the wind, it's like tacking alongside the wind, and it's just changing that course and direction. But I wish I knew that when I was 21, and it took me all that pain. And that's why bringing coaching, and I was working with a 12-year-old yesterday, coaching this amazing 12-year-old boy. And like his insights, like helping students with this is why it's so important for tutors. As tutors, you do amazing work, but I think you'll agree it's not actually about the academics. Like it is, I get that, but you are a confidant, a guide, a really important, role model for these students and children. And to sprinkle some coaching into your tutoring, it's going to make you a phenomenal practitioner.
What would that look like, Sam, in practice? What would that sprinkle look like?
I think for me, it's learning a few tools and exercises that, especially to start a session, with a student, just like having the skills and the questioning techniques to ground the student in that moment. And I think in my own experience with teaching, students do struggle with certain subjects and feeling anxious or underconfident, and having the tools in the toolbox to drop those in that moment of your tutoring session. I also think that could be quite cool for tutors is to bring in coaching into their package. So, if you're selling or having like a 10-session tutoring program, having the occasional coaching session throughout that to deal with anxiety, nerves, motivation. And that's the sprinkle. Like if you're in QT, you're doing great work. But I just think you can deepen the work because it's not transactional. It needs to be transformational. So it's not me doing a dance move. Transactional is the academic. Here's me doing a dance move. It looks like the McDonald's or something. Or the Mobot from the Olympics. But it's the transformational underneath, which needs to take place.
Yeah, so not to get stuck in semantics, but for me, coaching isn't a sprinkle on top, it's the foundation. And exactly as you're saying, it's not really about the academics. It is because academics opens doors and we want to open doors for students, but holding space for them to do their thinking is what you're all about. And I think that that's the foundation of effective tutoring.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you, Julia. I think that too, it's a great relation. That's why the program I'm going to share with you at the end, this new thing I'm launching next week. I think everyone that's signed up so far, no, I think like 90% of the participants are tutors. And I'm really loving working with tutors because they do such great work. And I mean, they're already doing the one-to-one. That's why it's exciting. Like training teachers is cool, but they've got 30 kids to look after at once.
Yes. Yes.
Tutors have that one-to-one relationship already. So they're more sort of in the space to make great coaches.
That's really interesting. Do you also find that tutors are more in tune with the need for this?
More in tune, yes, because teachers are in tune, but they've got to look after 30 people at once, whereas tutors can really assess where those students are. I don't know about you, Julia, but I'm not a parent. But if a tutor was saying, "Hey, look, I'm going to tutor your son, like, help him pass exams, but also I'm going to transform their confidence and mental health alongside."
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, that's a massive promise, or a massive offer. And I do think that sometimes it's possible. I have my 16-year-old is really struggling and has been struggling for years. And different types of help at different times makes a massive difference. Which is to say that there is no one magic bullet here. There's no silver bullet, there's no panacea for all of what students need. But I reckon that coaching, or this approach to coaching of holding space and listening, comes pretty close, especially with that element that you talk about of being the role model. And I think you're an awesome role model for the right kind of students, and that as we build ourselves up to be those role models, those thought through people, that becomes really interesting.
Yeah, definitely. It's a really exciting role. I was going to say role. It's an exciting point, and we need to be spreading more ripple effects out into the world. And I think, the coaching and tutoring, there is this symbiotic relationship that combines really nicely.
I think that the other thing that I was really pointing to there was the fact that many tutors have been through breakdowns themselves. And they've left teaching, or they've left other positions, and they found tutoring because it's a gentler way of working, more flexible, very fulfilling, and you can really build it around your health needs, your opportunities, limitations, commitments. There's a lot of freedom involved in tutoring, and people who tend to be led towards those freedoms are people who have moved away from boxier ways of working. You know what I mean, right? More bendy, less rigid. So we did a presentation at BET recently, and Kelly Hannigan, who's a fantastic well-being expert, used a visual of a star, and she said, try to put a star through a square hole. The only way to do it is to bash off all the sparkly bits. And so many of us have been through that journey of having our sparkly bits chopped off. And I feel that what you're speaking to here is an invitation to sparkle again for the practitioner and for the child.
That's a beautiful way of using that. I might have to borrow that metaphor.
You are welcome to.
Thank you, Julia. I really appreciate that. And in terms of just a bit of how we do this is my coaching philosophy. We keep it. One thing that people always share about the training that we offer is the word simple, and not in the way that it's not. There's the impacts aren't simple. They're very deep. But our approach is very, very to the point, very easy to implement, and that's why we get great results as well. But this is my coaching philosophy anyway. It's called the 4 A's. And if you're watching this on a recording or on LinkedIn, you might just want to jot these down as an invitation. The first A stands for agenda. Whenever I work with a young person, we start off with, what do you want to get from the session? And we got a structure to do that. We've got an analogy called time. I won't go into it now. The other A stands for awareness, which is coaching is all about learning and being. That's the first point, right? The awareness is all about what am I learning about myself? Who do I want to be? And then the third A there is action, which we're going to talk a bit about today. I've got my Do What I Said I Would t-shirt. I'm talking about action today at the school later. And the last A is accountability. So if I take that action, future pacing, how will my life change? And that's how I work with students. How I work with a 12-year-old, a 16-year-old boy I've just signed up, 22-year-old girl just finished coaching. So I'm still in the game. Like, I love this one-to-one stuff and working with young people. This is the model that I use.
What does finished coaching look like, Sam?
Finished coaching?
Yeah, you said that you finished coaching her.
Oh, well, we came to the end of our our program. She's going off to Asia to travel.
And how's she doing?
So let me unshare my screen. You might see this.
Can you share WhatsApp? Have you got WhatsApp on there? What has she said? Oh, WhatsApp.
This is a wheel of life. So the red wheel was where she first started, how she felt about herself in different areas of her life. I know it's a soft data. And then the outside wheel is where she is now, where she feels she is.
Oh.
And she shared this. Sam has been my coach for the last 7 months. Our time together has just come to an end before I go off on my travels. I first met Sam during my first year of university, where I had my initial session with him. After this one session, my perspective on things changed, and I saw the positive impact coaching could have. However, I decided to hold off. We reconnected when I had just finished university, back in my hometown, start my first full-time 9-to-5 job. A lot of change, and it took a toll on me. This time I went through the coaching, and I'm so glad I did. Sam's kind, supportive nature and passion for helping people made it easy to open up and work through my personal challenges. I've become more aware of myself and my surroundings and grateful for the lessons I've learned that will carry with me forever. If anyone thinking about getting a coach or mentor, do it. It's worth it. And I couldn't recommend Sam enough. Thank you.
I love that. And to be honest, I agree. I'm working with a coach at the moment who has been an absolute lifeline. I think it's immense. I think the work is immense. And I think building us up to be those people is immense. So both levels of what you're doing, I think is really, really powerful. Tell us more.
Tell you more?
Yeah.
About coaching?
About your presentation. I keep interrupting you.
Okay. I like this flexibility though, Julia. I think because we can just, it's almost like a podcast this. But yeah, we can't transform the world alone. But partnering with amazing people like Julia and QT, and it's a great way of starting that. But we can't transform education. We know education, the system has got many, many flaws. Also some good things going, but lots of flaws. We can't transform that overnight. It's a bit like trying to move this mountain. One of my favorite quotes, the person that begins by moving a mountain starts by carrying away small stones. And as a tutor, as a coach, someone who's leveling up and developing themselves to better support students and young people, you are part of this process and you are creating ripple effects, even to like the third degree, you don't even know. If you're helping a student be more confident, more happy, more successful, yes, improving their academics, but improving their personal life, that is going to be felt out from their parents, the parents' friends. You never know where this ripple effect comes out. That's what I mean. Like there's a study done on this and how far the ripple effect can go. And it's really exciting. So that's why we're here. I'm going to just talk you through a bit of our breakthrough basics on how to build better connections with young people. And this is the basics of training. Now, when I was going into the army, if I was ever going to do that, we'd all go through basic training where no matter if you're going to be the cook, the logistics, the frontline soldier, everyone goes through the same training. So the whole thing is standardized, right? And whatever level of coach you are, it comes down to these 3 skills of listening, questioning, and silence. And invitation, if you're watching this on a replay or on LinkedIn, is to just draw this out. And you can use this model, especially when you start your tutoring sessions. I think can be really powerful with this. And when the first skill is all about listening and listening to understand and not to reply. Whenever I work with students, that's one of the first things they'll say is you create this amazing space and it's all, I felt really listened to and heard. The problem is in our world at the moment, we don't really listen to understand much. We just listen to reply because we all live quote unquote busy lives. And there's also as human beings, we're pretty selfish. We just a lot of time focus on ourselves. Now, a great man for this example is Nelson Mandela. Obviously, I never met the guy, but in the research I've done on him, he created this amazing awareness where you felt like you were the only person in the room, and you could just be the cleaner or the guard or someone, almost like there wasn't even of necessary status or importance, but he'd make you feel that way. And he made people feel that way by listening. And he learned this from his dad, who was a tribal chief in Africa. And his dad took him to these meetings. And the young Nelson Mandela remembered 2 things. The first, that everyone was sat in a circle. So all the village elders, they could all make eye contact. And the last thing was that his dad was the last to speak. So his dad gained all the insights from everyone, made people feel heard, respected, understood, and then made his decision. And his dad and Nelson Mandela took this into his practice. Now in coaching, we look at 2 listening skills. You can call it level 1, level 2, active or passive. I call it backward or breakthrough. And the backward listening is what I spoke about. It's listening to reply, not to understand. If you're in the pub or if you're speaking to someone and you're thinking about like what you're having for lunch the next day or what you're doing later, you're not really in the moment, right? And we're all guilty of it. I'm guilty of it for sure. We can't really operate listening deeply all the time. But here's the invitation. When your child, when your student, when your partner comes to you with a problem, is to take off the partner hat, the teacher hat or whatever, and put on the coach hat and listen to understand. And we do that by looking at people's body language. We zone in fully like a spotlight shining down on stage, how they're moving, how they're breathing, the key words they share. Because we can all hear. Most of us have been given the gift of hearing, and it is a gift. Again, we did this gratitude point at the start. Imagine subtracting the hearing. Imagine never hearing music again. So most of us have been given the gift of hearing. We can all hear. Phenomenal. Hearing is a physiological phenomenon. Listening is a psychological act. And again, most of us have got 2 ears and 1 mouth. So technically, you should be doing double the amount of listening as you do talking. But the research shows us that talking gives us the same chemical release as eating our favorite food. So you can probably think of that person in your life that loves talking about themselves because they're getting endorphins released about, them talking. It feels good. But you want to be a great communicator, a great tutor, I think a great human being starts by listening to understand and not to reply. So that's our first skill. I'm going to put Julia on the spot here.
No.
I love sentence stems, by the way. So sentence stems are really cool. It just makes people think a bit deeper. The psychologist that came up with this in the 60s, I can't remember his name, but he got his patients to do this for 8 weeks, and they'd write down between 6 to 10 things on each stem. Now, I'm not going to make Julia do this. I'm just going to ask her one thing. But Julia, if you improve your listening skills by 5% today, what would change?
My 11-year-old would be much happier.
Awesome. Great stuff. So we're becoming a heart with ears here. We could add a few more things, but you can use sentence stems with the students as well to kick off the session. There's another great one, like if I improved my action taking by 5%, or if I took better responsibility for my choices today, these things. Just Google sentence stems, you can find loads of them. Now, the second thing on the breakthrough basics is questions. And we need to get curious and dig for the truth. A bit like an archaeologist, right? I'm a historian, right? But I like a bit of archaeology too. Now, if an archaeologist is going to go and dig somewhere, they scan the area, they do all these okay, I don't know much about it, but they're going to start digging. And when they start digging, they just see the surface level. It could just be the grass or the mud. And when they dig, they start to find the truth about what's been in that ground for years, and they can pull up different artifacts. Now, when we use questioning as tutors and coaches, it's like getting our little archaeology tool out and we're digging for what's going on. Because team, here's an insight for you. The problem that people say they have is not actually the problem. All right, the issue is not the issue. The amount of times a student will come to our session, I'll set the agenda, remember back to the 4 A's, what do you want to work on today? They might say like motivation or revision. And I'll become a heart with ears. I'll start asking some questions like this archaeologist, and I'll dig. And straight away, you'll realize it's not about that. They haven't got any self-belief, or they've had a massive falling out with their parent. And that's the actual issue that's causing this. All right. If you were with me last time, we did this iceberg. If you imagine an iceberg with a little bit poking out and you've got their surface level behavior, beneath every behavior, there's a feeling. Beneath every feeling, there is a need. And when we can work on the need, why are we dealing with the cause and not the symptom? So that's why questioning is so important. But let's look at these.
I tell you what I'm thinking of there. I'm thinking about prerequisites. So, in maths, if you want to learn, a sort of year 5 level place value, you have prerequisites on place value in the years below. Everything is built on itself. And I wonder whether sometimes, a child will say motivation, and actually it's, you know, you went straight to self-belief, but I wonder whether it's actually a lack of knowledge or a lack of skill or a lack of revision, you know, ability, or a lack of confidence to ask the question of what it is that I don't know. I wonder whether there's, you know, it's interesting to bring closer the academics and the coaching skills at a moment like that. I wonder whether I think I would love to ask you, Sam, and it doesn't have to be now. Where does coaching end and therapy begin? Right. So where does that curiosity and that digging actually go too far and take a student not necessarily where you need to go right now with them? And what's that skill in you that knows where to stop?
Yeah, great question. So what connects all of this stuff? So therapy, counseling, coaching, mentoring, consulting, blah, 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 blah. It always connected by talking, right? Talking therapy. So that is like the general link that connects them all. But yeah, we're not psychotherapists as coaches. We're not medical doctors. We're certainly not counselors. And in coaching, we focus more on the present moment. Yes, we delve a little bit into the past. We definitely go into the future as coaches. We're very future focused, but we're not here to heal past emotional trauma. That's why I struggle when people call themselves trauma-informed coaches. You hear this at the moment, like I'm trauma-informed. It's like, well, if I had trauma, which everyone has trauma, by the way. Spoiler alert, you've got trauma. I go to my therapist and we talk about little Sam at 2 years old. We do some great breath work and I cry a lot and we do lots of anger release and then the session ends. It's like, cool, see you later. So there's no action there. And for students, to be fair to them, this is why coaching is a great gateway into other types of emotional support because it's not too scary. This is why these questions are really important, actually, Julia, because we don't really ask many why questions. So I tend not to, especially with younger students, because if I say, Julia, why did you not take action? You're like, whoa, that goes quite deep. And you can use the whys, you can keep them in your locker, but we change that to what stopped you from taking action. You know,
that's
it's more like
really, really wise. I really appreciate that. So I think the reason why I asked you that question was because I found the image of digging quite triggering.
Okay.
Yeah. And I'm a why person. I go right to that middle bit. And I need to remember to think about hows and whats. So Odette, my business partner, who you know, she's a fantastic person for how. Yeah, how are we going to get this done? I'm like, I don't know. I've lost interest by then. I'm a why person. So so I just thought that would be worthwhile sharing with you. And I think it was useful to sort of explore your wisdom and being responsible for knowing what yes and what no as a coach. And I think that focus on the now is immense as a practice. But also, of course, there's a lot of negative self-talk that happens in the moment that you can unpick there, can't you?
Yeah, I think as well, you know, I've worked with students who have had suicidal ideation, who have been self-harming, who've been involved with like heavy drug taking, and coaching can work alongside it. As long as those students, hear me out, as long as those students are getting support from an actual psychotherapist or medical doctor.
That was exactly my question.
I saw Julia's face like,
No. I was only going to ask exactly that question. I wasn't going to jump on you, but I think it's interesting, the idea of working alongside a therapist. Is that something that you've done in the past?
I do it. This is what I do. And students do as well.
And how's it done? You do it personally. Yeah, I hear that. And is there such a thing then as too much support? Is there a time when you should step back and wait for the therapy to take its place or antidepressants to kick in before you start thinking about actions?
Yeah, and it also depends on the person that it's suited for. So I've been working with, again, a girl who tried to take her own life. Yeah, a few students I've worked with have tried to take their own life. And she got some support through the NHS originally in this group therapy session. And she really wasn't enjoying it at all. And then she started working with me. And I'm not saying like I'm solving deep-rooted problems for people, but she did some therapy and then she was doing some coaching alongside. And as again, with her support from her doctor, she was on the maximum antipsychotic, antidepressant. She was on the maximum dose, right? And then through the coaching, she's on a quarter dose now and working with me because she's taking better actions and she's getting support.
Wow.
And she's doing stuff for her alongside some of the therapy. But it's all been, by the way, backed by her doctor and things like that alongside.
So that's really important, because certainly the evidence shows that people don't get off medication when they should do. And so the fact that somebody is watching her reduce her medication is pretty awesome. I noticed when you mentioned her that you took a pause, didn't you? I'd love to ask you, if somebody is considering joining your coaching program and is scared because working with students like this can be triggering, can be anxiety inducing, can feel very heavy. Is there supervision for the coach? Is there, how do you help yourself to be that person who can consistently help? Because
great question.
You can bring it right down.
Yeah, we have a great support network on our community where people do our course. The diploma is 5 months. The one I'm launching next week is 3. But they get into our community for a whole year to support them with supervision and mentoring and Q&As. And we have a lot of support with our ICF coaches as well, that people can come and they have overviews as well, where they can talk about and share about this stuff. And I've got it as well, because it's important if you're taking a lot of emotional. And by the way, for the record, 90% of my coaching conversations are not quote unquote as deep as that, and also you learn a lot about how to help support people and where to push and what direction to take them in and stuff. So for the most part, everyone's got their own pain. Everyone's pain is personal to them. But a lot of the time it's low motivation, anxiety, underconfidence, this sort of low level mental health is really what we're supporting. We've all got mental health, right? All have low days, and coaching is great for the good days. It's going to boost you up, but it's so important for these kids and you to have tools in your toolbox on the low days, and not to the level that you need to go and, you're on antidepressants or anything, but we all experience low mood and that kind of languishing to flourishing.
Yeah.
And it's always in cycle. So it just gives you a great support network.
I think that's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
So I'm just going to crack on. The last little bit here is that silence cuts through the noise. And it's the secret Jedi superpower of coaching, I call it, the silence. And it's actually one where tutors and teachers who go through the course, they really land with this. Again, teachers and tutors, educators love giving solutions, right? Here's a solution, bam, 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 bam. Here's what I think you should do. Here's this. And to give a student a little bit of space is amazing for 2 reasons. A bit of silence. The first is that the student comes up with a crazy tangent, an idea, and something really lands for them because they're sharing about themselves. You're not hogging the airways. And I've done this before. I've literally been teetering on the edge of asking a question. I've held back, and the student's gone, I'm really transformed. The second thing silence is great for as a coach is that you can think of a great question. So again, a lot of compliments that I get on my coaching is creating that space, that silence, that environment of calm, but in a really positive, non-awkward, silency way. And you can bring some of that more into your tutoring.
I wonder whether there's an advantage when you're working online, because you can press the mute button. And so the student seriously knows that you are committed to not interrupting them. Is that a thing you do?
Not really. I just kind of stare at my screen or stare off into distance. So team, those are our breakthrough basics: listening, questioning, and silence. This is one of our modules on the new program. Now, we have an ICF International Coach Federation accredited course. We've got some of our QT members on that course, which is great.
And they're doing their homework.
And yeah, they're doing the homework. Yeah.
They've been telling me about it.
And it's a great course, but the downside to it in some ways is that it is a little bit expensive because it's like a very high level coaching certification and accreditation. And I want to keep spreading ripple effects. I talk about ripple, I talk about action, I'm really good at bringing people together. And I thought, well, let's bring a new program out that's really going to inspire teachers to dip their toe into coaching, still getting a lower level accreditation, but start to bring this more into their work. and it's called the Empowered Collective. And I just wanted to share it with you. It's very exciting.
No, it is. It genuinely is.
So we've got this. The Empowered Collective team is all about helping you reignite your passion for teaching or tutoring, and also discovering maybe how to pivot out the classroom, how to offer new services to your tutoring, for instance, in a really safe, loving, and supportive space. Yeah, what do you get?
Sorry, Sam, is that picture of you with the marking?
Yeah, it was on my other document. Yeah, this is like.
Is that a real picture?
It is a real picture, yeah.
It's so emotive.
Yeah, well, does it sound familiar? Like you're
100%, 100%.
Busy,
yeah.
You've got no time for you, life's happening around you, you're frustrated.
That misalignment thing is massive.
Yeah, like people are misaligned. And this is what I mean. All these teachers I meet in our coaching courses feel like this. And I've been feeling like this. I was a teacher, obviously, like felt like the ball and chain of teaching was around my leg.
Yeah.
I was like, well,
and you're fastening it to the children's legs as well.
Exactly. It's the ripple effects, that general pass through, educational pass through. So I wanted to make something where, and that's, I share this in my story, right? That teachers that go through the course were leveling up themselves. And this is for you, right? The tutor that wants to transform their life, but also the life of their students. I'm going to do this. And guess what? I'm going to deliver the whole thing myself, by the way, which I'm super pumped about. We've got a call once a week on Tuesdays, 7 to 8. We've got a private WhatsApp and Mighty Networks group. You get a one-to-one session with me, a coaching session just for you. You get to connect with our new community of this from teachers all across the world. And we've got an AI coach to hold you accountable, to bring an AI into this, and also an accountability partner and me to make sure you get an amazing result. This is my promise, and I do promise this. You're going to unlearn old habits. You're going to invest in yourself for 3 months. You're going to see education differently. You're going to find a flow, deeply connect with people. This is really important. Gain clarity on what you want. All right. Grow an unbelievable self-awareness, shift your trajectory, believe in yourself, and lay tracks for your life. I've done this since 2019, working with teachers, and we keep getting better results. Better results. This program improves, deeper results of people. It's split into 3 modules. I won't go into it now. Here's some more stuff. By the way, it's not for you if you're not ready to spend time on you.
Here's some more stuff. It's not a demo, Sam.
Sorry?
Here's some more stuff. I like that.
Here's some stuff. But yeah, don't bother about this if you don't want to spend time on you. If you don't want to meet new connections, the times don't work. You got to commit 12 hours, right? Minimum out of 90 days, which there's 2,160 hours in 90 days. I'm asking to commit 12.
What are your timings?
7 to 8 GMT. 7 to 8 on Tuesday. And look, here's the thing. I wanted to make it super cost effective. I think this is an amazing program, an amazing deal. It's $995 US, which is about just about 800 quid. There's a payment plan option, which is 380. It's the very best I could do. The dates and times of the calls, they're here. The Tuesdays, 7 to 8. If you can't make it, it's okay. They'll be recorded. And this is the Impact. I am so pumped for this. We've got an amazing group already, and we've got a couple of places left. And if you're a tutor that wants to, like I said, learn coaching skills, not spend thousands, and transform your own confidence in life, and also impact your kids and your parents and your family, like I've seen it so many times, then this is for you. And it'd be great to have a couple more QT members on it with us.
Fantastic. So how do we get in touch with you?
Great question. You can scan a little QR code.
Woo!
So you can scan this QR code, and this goes.
Doing it now, Sam. I'm doing it now.
Well, this is just for you to book a call, Julius. You can book a call with me if you like. But this basically, we have a fit call, is how it works. And that's just like a 10-minute chat.
It works.
Me. Yeah, she's got it.
It's
a 10-minute chat, and there's no obligation to move forward. I hope you understand that I'm not some hard nosed. We all hate those salesmen that are really pushy. It's not about that. It's just asking questions, see if we're a good match for you, that kind of thing. There's literally no pressure either way. But actually, if you watch this and you're like, I don't want to do the program, I just want to connect with Sam, like do that. Like, speak to me. It's all good. I like being educators. The other thing you can do, and I'll put it in the chat, is just to complete a little application form, just with your details to show that you're interested. Myself or one of the team will be in contact. But we kick off on Tuesday, so you've still got time. Deadline day is Tuesday, but you are more than welcome to join us even on Tuesday. If the payment is still an issue, but you're really buzzing to be involved, let me know. We want to make something work. Hope you can appreciate it's as cost effective as we can make it. And it's the very best of the tools and exercises that I've trained people in and coached kids on since 2018.
Fantastic.
Let me type it in the chat.
Are you dropping a link into the chat?
That's the application form link.
Fantastic. Hannah will share that on LinkedIn as well and in our community.
Thank you, Hannah.
Sam, I want to congratulate you and I want to thank you for bringing what you're doing into the world. I think Ripple Effect is exactly what this is. And those of us who are committed to bringing more goodness into this world in whatever way that works for us are grateful to you for bringing this opportunity. It's an affordable course. It's a sensible course. It is potentially a life-changing course. I deeply believe in what you're doing, and I'm really, really grateful to partner with you. Thank you so much. If there is anybody out there who wants to contact Sam and you're not sure how to do that, Sam, what's your email address?
It's sam@studentbreakthrough. Should I put it in the chat?
No, just say it. Sam at studentbreakthrough.
Sam at studentbreakthrough.com. My Instagram, is Student Breakthrough. And,
fantastic.
Yeah, connect to LinkedIn as well. But thank you so much, QT.
Good luck for your session this afternoon. We appreciate you. Have a lovely weekend. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.